Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Saturday, September 4, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Temple vs Rutgers. The Temple defensive front shouldn't be good enough quite yet to take advantage of the questionable Scarlet Knight offensive front. The Temple Owls averaged 19.9 points and 348.3 yards per game last season. They did not average enough considering that they allowed a whopping 37 points per game last season. Dwan Mathis, a freshman transfer from Georgia, is the new starting quarterback taking over for Anthony Russo, now at Michigan State. At running back, Taven Ruley returns from last season after having 306 yards and a touchdown. The wide receiver duo of Jaden Blue and Randall Jones combined for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns last season. This offense has a few more weapons this season, and an experienced offensive line should help. There might be some nice parts to play around with, but the D-line is one of the team's biggest areas of rebuilding. The Rutgers offense won't be 2020 Alabama, but it has the skill parts to be fine early on, as long as everyone gets a little bit of time to work. Rutgers showed improvement in the first season under Greg Schiano, but the offensive line struggled, and it should be the biggest early problem. My betting advice for that game is to pick over. Penn State vs Wisconsin. Safety Jaquan Brisker also returns, after tallying 57 tackles during the 2020 season. One of Penn State's goals this season will be avoiding turnover issues. The Nittany Lions turned the ball over 17 times last year, posting at least 2 turnovers in 5 games. One of their key issues was offensive line play, so they will be hoping to resolve that issue. Running back Noah Cain, who injured his leg on the opening drive last season, is returning to the mix. He went over 100 yards in consecutive games against Purdue and Iowa in 2019. Tight end Jake Ferguson, who led the team with 30 catches for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns last year, is also returning. The Badgers are hoping to win their home opener for the 26th season in a row. My betting advice is to pick over. Oklahoma vs Tulane. At running back, Kennedy Brooks is back with Oklahoma after logging 2,000 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. With these two leading the way for Oklahoma, the team has a good chance at making a run this season. There are big expectations for Pratt this season, especially after his strong freshman campaign. He put up pretty good numbers considering he didn't start until the 4th game. He has a lot to prove and can be a major reason for Tulane to develop as a program. My betting advice is to pick over El Monroe vs Kentucky. Arizona transfer Rhett Rodriguez will get the start in this game under center taking over for last season's starter Colby Suits. While RB Caden Roach will be the leading RB for the team and finished second on the team last season in rushing yards, he only had 112 of them. However, the top 5 WRs and 5 starting linemen are back for the team. Josh Ali had 54 catches for 473 yards last season, and Keaton Upshaw, who was second on the Wildcats in catches and had a team-high 3 TDs, are back. In the backfield, RB Chris Rodriguez Jr. returns, and he had a solid 2020 campaign with 765 rushing yards and also had 11 TD. The offensive line is also a pretty good one, but the question marks arise on the defensive side of the ball. My betting advice is to pick over. Quick reminder, you can get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on our partner sportsbook BetUS after you open an account using our link down below and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES when making your deposit. Stanford vs Kansas State. This is a great opportunity for the young QB and is a situation he should take advantage of. At RB, Austin Jones is returning after producing 550 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. Receiving duo Michael Wilson and Bryson Tremaine are also making a return this season. The Wildcats allowed an average of 32 points per game and 444 yards per game last season. Just like Stanford, 32 points per game is too many runs to allow if the Wildcats plan on winning games this season. To make matters worse, KSU lost a lot of defense from last season. My betting advice is to pick over 35. Army vs Georgia State. One thing you know with an Army offense is that you're going to get a ton of the run game. The Black Knights were a dismal 127th in the FBS in passing offense with 44.8 yards per game, while they were 4th in the country by grinding out 273 yards per contest on the ground. Jacoby Buchanan, 111 carries, 474 yards, 6 TD, Tyrell Robinson, 60 carries, 424 yards, Anthony Adkins, 51 carries, 302 yards, 4 TD, and Cade Bernard, 25 carries, 119 yards, TD, are all going to be involved in the run game, along with the quarterbacks. Michael Roberts, 7 catches, 106 yards, TD, and Robinson, 6 catches, 117 yards, 2 TD, were the top 2 pass catchers for the Black Knights a season ago. Quinn Moretsky, who took over kicking duties partway through last season, hit all 15 extra point attempts and 4 of 6 field goals with a long of 40. The Panthers were 64th in the nation in passing offense last season as they averaged 230.3 yards per game through the air, and 39th in rushing offense with an average of 194 yards per contest. My betting advice is to pick over. Western Michigan vs Michigan. The Broncos finished last season 23rd in the FBS in passing offense with 286.5 yards per game, while they were 41st on the ground with 193.2 yards per contest. Western Michigan was tied for 9th in the FBS in scoring offense with 41.7 points a game, though they were 94th in scoring defense by allowing 34.2 points per game. The Wolverines were 44th in the FBS in passing offense in 2020 with 250.3 yards per game, while they ended up 95th in rushing offense by grinding out 131.5 yards per contest. Michigan was 66th in the FBS in scoring offense with 26.3 points per game, while they stood 95th in scoring defense as they allowed 34.5 points per game. My betting advice is to pick over. Rice vs Arkansas. Make no mistake, it's a wise strategy considering they lack the offensive firepower to stand toe-to-toe with most teams, especially in SEC opponent like Arkansas. They finished the season last year averaging 23.4 points per game within their own conference. Now, they'll be on the road against a tough Razorbacks defense for their first inter-conference game since 2019. Don't worry if you're still wondering who the starting quarterback for the Owls will be on Saturday. The rest of the world is wondering as well. Coach Mike Bloomgren has already come out and said we'll see a mixture of both Luke McCaffrey and Wiley Green in the opener. It'll be interesting to see if that hurts or helps the Owls in this game. You can rest assured the Hogs will be looking to test the Owls' defensive front with Treylon Burks leading the attack for an offense that averaged 151 yards per game on the ground last season. It should be noted Burks is dealing with an injury and his status is still up in the air for this game. Receiver Michael Woods II and tight end Hudson Henry should also be big contributors for the team. Granted, there are some Baliks in the Owls secondary, and Jefferson will need to be mindful of turnovers. The last thing the team needs is giving Rice an extra possession to milk more time off the clock. My betting advice is to pick under. Good luck to all of you. That's it for this video. Stay tuned and stay safe for the next betting tips and advice.